Welcome back to the show, because a retired special constable was arrested and detained over a social media post warning about the threat of anti-Semitism in Britain. Now, after the arrest, officers examined the 71-year-old's collection of books by authors, far-right people like Douglas Murray, along with the copies of The Spectator, referring to them as containing very Brexity things. As you can see on your screens there, a full sweep by the Thought Police. Now, the incident took place in November 2023, and this week Kent Police admitted the caution was a mistake and deleted it from the accused's record. Well, here's somebody who's guaranteed to be wound up by this. It's Harry Miller, the founder of Fair Cop, a free speech campaign group. And, of course, Mr Miller was prosecuted for an offensive tweet. Harry Miller, always a pleasure. Astonishing situation where a social media post and the contents of your bookshelf gets you a tug. What do you make of all this?
Well, they say that they apologise and they're going to use this as a learning opportunity. That would be good, but they never, ever learn. They simply carry on regardless, and I'm sick and tired of this. I would have more respect for these police officers had they put on ski masks and broken in through the back door at the dead of night and gone through the bookshelves and the knicker drawer to find any Brexity knickers. But they don't. They do it under the auspices of having the authority of the state. They brazenly knock on the door and tell you that you are under investigation for the criminal act of supporting Jews in this case. Yeah. That's where we're at. OK, so that's what he did. And then they come in and rifle through everything and humiliate you. And don't let your viewers be in any doubt about this. When the police turn up like that, particularly if you're a 71-year-old man and a bunch of police officers turn up, what are your neighbours going to be thinking? Yeah. What is going to make those curtains twitch? They're going to be thinking that you've got something well and truly dodgy on your hard drive. And that's a stigma that's not going to go away. But this, as far as I'm concerned, Martin, is the entire point. They know full well there was no possibility of a prosecution. This is all about social engineering. It's all about shaming people into social compliance. And it's exactly the type of tactic that the Checker used to do on behalf of Stalin in the 1930s Soviet Union. It's not British. It's not right. And every single person involved in this, from the chief constable right the way down to the station mouse, needs sacking.
Will that happen? We've seen this time and time again. And let's just focus for a moment about what he said. He tweeted, "We're one step away from storming Heathrow looking for Jewish arrivals." What he meant, anybody with half a brain could tell what he meant. And that was, we're being anti-Semitic. Somebody, or these numpties, let's be frank, interpreted that he was anti-Jewish. Harry, it takes seconds of analysis to work out that this is the wrong position. Is nobody asking common sense questions in the police force, in the top brass, down at the local station? Why is this happening?
Well, you used the word common sense there, but I was told by a chief constable a few years ago that common sense is not an appropriate tool for a police officer. That's scary. We live under common law. Common sense is makes up the fabric of our society. What the police want to do is they want to police entirely by numbers. They want a flip chart that tells them how to carry on in every instant. There is no room there for common sense. There's no room there for nuance, no room there for sarcasm, no room there for anything other than the worst possible literal reading of any text. And then they use that as an excuse to go in and scare the living bejesus out of the poor sod at the end of their line.
And Harry, you've said many, many times, this fellow was with the police force for 10 years. He's one of them. He's one of their own. You've said many, many times in the past that the process is the punishment. Just to get a knock on the door, to be humiliated like this, even if everything is dropped, even then, this guy has been through absolute living hell.
Yeah, and the temptation then is to simply go, you know what, I don't have the strength for this. What I will do, it's against my conscience, it's against every instinct in me, but in order to preserve myself and my family and my reputation and my friends, I'm going to comply. I will come off social media. I will take myself away from the discourse in the social market square. And that is precisely what the police want. They are casting around the chilling effect on purpose. They know the effect. Why haven't they learnt? Well, they haven't learnt because they don't want to learn. This is not a cock-up. This is a conspiracy. And I'm not one to say that. Normally, I would say if something can be excused because somebody's just an idiot, I would excuse it. But this happens far too often, and it's always in the same direction. It's always against those of us who are orthodox, conservative, slightly on the right. It's never against the left. It's never against the lunatic left. It is a matter of social political engineering at the end of a truncheon.
You went to the High Court on this, on non-crime hate incidents. You won. Miller versus the Crown was a test case. It was meant to be a line in the sand. It was meant to be a full point. It was meant to be the end of this nonsense. Harry Miller, it's not only not that, it's getting worse.
It is getting worse because the police have decided that it is their job to teach us how to think, how to speak and how to act. And the law is entirely secondary to their mission to socialise us into becoming a certain type of person. That's what's happening. Now, back in 2019, the judge in my case said, we don't have a Stasi, a Checker and a Gestapo. Well, we have an update. We do now. We have absolutely a Stasi, a Checker and a Gestapo. We have a thought police who come around, check your bookshelves, check your knicker drawer, tell you you're a little bit too Brexity. I mean, this is the definition of political policing, and it is time that chief constables and everybody involved got sacked. The time for learning is gone. Now is the time to put these people on the dole and looking for a brand new job, because there is no place for them whatsoever in policing.
Harry Miller, superb as ever, founder of Faircop. Thank you for joining me tonight on GBN Tonight. Now, spokesperson for Kent Police has told GB News this: the caution against Mr Fuchs was not appropriate in the circumstances and should not have been issued. Kent Police expunged the caution from the man's record and was pleased to facilitate this correction, adding that a further review of the matter would now be carried out to identify any learning opportunities. Meanwhile, a Home Office spokesperson told GB News this: the incident occurred under the previous government. The Home Secretary has made clear that she believes all police forces should be focused on the central priorities of the government's Safer Streets mission, including rebuilding neighbourhood policing, reducing antisocial behaviour and making progress towards the unprecedented ambition to halve knife crime and violence against women and girls within a decade. Harry Miller, thanks for your company. Always an absolute delight. Now, coming up next,